Good morning, students. I hope you're all doing well. My name is Susan Burgess. Today we are going to discuss another poem titled The Village Blacksmith by Henry Wordsworth Longfellow. The poem is taken from Kayla Reader English Part 1 Standard 8 textbook and is included in Unit 3 Seeds and Deeds. Here we will analyze a mighty blacksmith who has large and sinewy hands and his brawny arms are strong as iron bands. And we will also discuss about his life, his family, and his sense of pride. So let's explore the poem in detail.
So here's our poem, The Village Blacksmith by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Henry Wadsworth Longfellow was an American poet and educator. He was born on February 27, 1807 in Portland, Maine, USA. He was known for his lyrical and narrative poetry, focusing on themes of nature, morality, and the human spirit. He was graduated from Bowdoin College in 1825. He worked as a professor at Bowdoin College and Harvard University. His famous works include Paul Revere's Ride, The Song of Yawada, and Evangeline. He introduced European literary traditions to American readers through translations. He was one of the first American poets to gain international fame. He popularized storytelling in American poetry and inspired generations with his optimistic and accessible writing. He was died on March 24, 1882 in Cambridge, Massachusetts, USA. Before moving on to the explanation of the poem, I'm going to recite it first. Under a spreading chestnut tree, the village smithy stands. The smith, a mighty man is he, with large and sinewy hands, and the muscles of his brawny arms are strong as iron bands. His hair is crisp and black and long. His face is like the tan. His brow is wet with honest sweat. He earns whatever he can, and looks the whole world in the face, for he owes not any man. Week in, week out, from morn till night, you can hear the bellows blow. You can hear him swing his might sledge with a measure beat and slow, like a sexton ringing the village bell when the evening sun is low. And children coming home from school look in the open door. They love to see the flaming forge and hear the bellows roar, and catch the flaming sparks that fly like chaff from a threshing floor. He goes on Sunday to the church and sits among his boys. He hears the parson pray and preach. He hears his daughter's voice singing in the choir, and it makes his heart rejoice. It sounds to him like his mother's voice singing in paradise. He needs must think of her once more, how in the grave she lies, and with his hard, rough hands he wipes a tear out of his eyes. Toiling, rejoicing, sorrowing, onward in life he goes. Each morning sees some task begin, each evening sees it close. Something attempted, something done, has earned a night's repose. Thanks, thanks to thee, my worthy friend, for the lesson thou hast taught. Thus, at the flaming forge of life, our fortunes must be wrought. Thus, on its sounding anvil shaped, each burning deed and thought. So, let's discuss the poem in detail. The poem opens with a description of the blacksmith workplace. His smithy stands under a large chestnut tree in the village. The blacksmith is depicted as a strong and muscular man with powerful hands. His arms are as strong as iron bands, showing that he has gained his strength through years of hard work. In the second stanza, the poet continues describing the blacksmith's appearance. His hair is black, curly, and long. His face is tanned from working outdoors. His forehead is covered with sweat, which he has earned through honest labor. He is a self reliant man who lives with dignity, as he does not owe anything to anyone. In stanza 3, the poet captures the blacksmith's daily routine. He works tirelessly from morning to night. The poet describes the rhythmic sound of his hammer striking the metal, comparing it to the sound of a church sexton ringing the village bell at sunset. This comparison highlights the steady and disciplined nature of his work. In stanza 4, the poet describes that children passing by after school enjoy watching the blacksmith at work. They look into his open workshop to see the flames of the forge and hear the roaring sound of the bellows. They are fascinated by the burning sparks that fly, which the poet compares to chaff. blowing away during threshing. In stanza 5, the poet describes that the blacksmith is not just a hard worker, he is also a devoted family man. On Sundays, he goes to church with his children and listens to the prayers and sermons. He takes pride in hearing his daughter singing in the church choir, and her voice fills him with joy. In the sixth stanza, the poet continues to describe the personal life of Blacksmith. As he listens to his daughter singing, he is reminded of his late wife. He imagines her singing in heaven, which brings back memories of her. This thought makes him emotional, and despite being a tough and hardworking man, he wipes away a tear with his rough, calloused hand. In stanza 7, the poet summarizes the blacksmith life as a balance of hard work, happiness, and sorrow. Every day he starts a new task and completes it by evening. His efforts give him a sense of satisfaction, allowing him to rest peacefully at night, knowing that he has done his duty. In this stanza 8, that is the final stanza, the poet thanks the blacksmith for the life lesson he has taught. He uses a metaphor comparing life to a blacksmith forge. Just as iron is shaped on an anvil, people must shape their character and destiny through hard work and determination. The poem ends with an inspiring message about perseverance and effort. So let's move on to the glossary section. Chestnut tree. A chestnut tree is a type of tree that produces eatable nuts and is known for its strong wood. In the poem The Village Blacksmith by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, the blacksmith workshop is located under a large chestnut tree. So this tree represents strength, much like the blacksmith himself. Smithy. Smithy is where a place the blacksmith work. Smith means a person who makes things with the metals, usually working with iron and steel to create tools, horseshoes, and other items. Mighty. Mighty means very strong or powerful. For example, John C. is mightier than Grigory. The word sinewy. Sinewy means having strong muscles. For example, Advait has sinewy hands. The next word, brownie. Brownie means physically strong and muscular. For example, the brownie Ebron easily lifted the heavy dust. Word, iron bands. Iron bands are strong ring of iron used to hold things together. They are often used to make things stronger or to keep them secure. You can see from the image the iron bands. The next word, crisp. Crisp means dry. Vismaya has crispy hair or dry hair. The next word, tan. Tan means a brown color, especially on skin from sun contact. For example, Swaroop has tanned because he played on the ground during midday. The next word, brow. Brow means the forehead or the area above the eyes. The next word is earns. Earns means to receive money for work or services. For example, Ardra earns money from her dance class. The next word, owes. Owes means to have a debt or to be required to pay someone back for something. For example, Brahmadatt owes Ashwin because he copied his notes from Ashwin's notebook. The next word is bellows. Bellows means a device for blowing air into a fire to make it burn hotter. You can see the image of the bellows here. The next word is sledge. Sledge means a large hammer used for heavy work. You can see the image of the sledge here. The next word is sexton. Sexton means a person responsible for maintaining a church and ringing its bell. Then the next word is threshing floor. Threshing floor is where a place where grain is separated from chaff. Then the next word is flaming forge. Flaming forge here means a workshop with a hot fire for shaping metal. Then the next word is anvil. Anvil means a heavy block used for shaping metal by hammering. You can see the image of the anvil here. So let's move on to the poetic and literary devices in the poem. The first one, simile. and the muscles of his brawny arms are strong as iron bands. Here, the poet comparing the blacksmith's muscles to iron bands, emphasizing his strength. The second one, like a sexton ringing the village bell. Here, the poet compares the rhythmic sound of the sledge to a sexton ringing a bell. In the third one, like chaff from a threshing floor. Here, the poet compares the flying sparks to chaff blown away during threshing. In the fourth one, it sounds to him like her mother's voice. Here, the poet compares the daughter's voice to her late mother's, evoking deep emotions. So, these are the lines contain a simile used by the poet in the poem. Then the next one is alliteration. First one, his brow is wet with honest sweat. Here the repetition of W sound in wet and with creates a smooth flow in the line. Then the second one, the muscles of his brawny arms. The repetition of the M sound in muscles and arms draws attention to the blacksmith's strength. The third one, week in, week out. The repetition of W adds rhythm. Then the fourth one, thus at the flaming forge of life. Here, the repetition of F draws attention to the metaphor of life's challenges. So these lines contain alliteration used by the poet in the poem. Then the next one, imagery. The first, under a spreading chestnut tree. Here, the poet creates a vivid image of the setting where the blacksmith works. The second one, with large and sinewy hands. The imagery helps the reader visualize the physical strength of the blacksmith. The third, his hair is crisp and black and long. Here the poet describes the blacksmith's appearance clearly. The fourth one, the flaming forge. Here the poet evokes the image of the fiery workshop. Then the fifth one, catch the burning sparks that fly. Here the poet helps the reader visualize the dynamic energy of the forge. Then the sixth one, with his hard, rough hand, he wipes a tear out of his eyes. Here the poet portrays the emotional depth of the blacksmith despite his rugged appearance. So these lines contain imagery used by the poet in the poem. Then the next one, metaphor. For he owes not any man. This line metaphorically expresses the blacksmith's financial independence. It implies that he doesn't owe money or favors to anyone and earns an honest living through his own hard work. Then the second one, the flaming forge of life. Here, life is compared to a forge where experiences shape a person. And the third one, on its sounding anvil shaped each burning deed and thought, means that life's actions and decisions are metaphorically shaped on an anvil like metalwork. So these lines contain metaphor used by the poet in the poem. Next one is the rhyming scheme. The stanza follows a regular AB rhyming pattern. For example, under a spreading chestnut tree, the village smithy stands. The smith, a mighty man is he, with large and sinewy hands. Here you can see the rhyming pattern tree, he, stands, hands. Then there is rhyming words tree, he, stands, hands, arms, bands, long, song, bell, floor, night, light, boys, rejoice, voice, paradise, wrote, and thought. So let's recap the lesson. Identify four lines from the stanza that describe blacksmith's strength. Explain how these lines convey his power. His brow is wet with honest sweat. This line shows that the blacksmith works tirelessly. His strength comes from hard labor and his dedication makes him physically powerful. In the next line, the muscles of his brawny arms are strong as iron bands. The simile compares his muscles to iron bands, emphasizing his immense physical strength and toughness. Then there is week in, week out, from morn till night, you can hear his bellows blow. Also, this line highlights his endurance as he works continuously without rest, demonstrating both his physical stamina and perseverance. Then the fourth line, he goes on Sunday to the church and sits among his boys. Though don't note directly about physical strength, this shows his moral strength and discipline, which reinforces overall power both physically and in character. So these are the lines depicts the blacksmith as a hardworking, resilient, and physically powerful man whose strength is not just in his body but also in his dedication and integrity. Next question: how does the description of the blacksmith contribute to the overall themes of the poem? Write 3 4 sentences explaining your thoughts. The description of the blacksmith highlights his hard work and dedication, reinforcing the theme of dignity in labor. His strong muscular appearance symbolizes strength and perseverance, reflecting the idea that honest work shapes both character and life. The mention of his sweat and toil emphasizes the value of hard earned success, showing that effort and determination lead to a fulfilling life. His gentle nature and devotion to his family contrast with his tough exterior, underscoring the theme of balance between work and a personal life. Thank you. Have a nice day.